Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll to ascertain the presence of a quorum?
Nice to have helpers. Thank you, Mr. President. Councilor Baker. Councilor Siomo. Councilor Flaherty. Councilor Jackson. Councilor LaMattina. Councilor Linehan.
Here.
Councilor McCarthy. Councilor Murphy. Councilor O'Malley. Councilor Presley. Councilor Wu. Councilor Yancey. Councilor Zagum. We have a quorum, President.
I've been informed by the clerk that a quorum is present. And before I introduce the member of our clergy, I just wanted to make an announcement. For over a week, the City Council has been out of commission. And as we upgraded our entire video operation for the first time, today we are pleased to announce the launch of an all-new state-of-the-art video equipment in the City Council chamber and in our master control room. These improvements ensure a more reliable, higher quality picture for all our valued viewers. With humble appreciation, we thank our talented vendors who worked for the 24 hours straight to make sure that this meeting here today would be up and running and that it would be telecast. So we'd like to congratulate Kerry and all the central staff for their efforts. This was a $180,000 investment in our video transmission equipment. So thank you, Kerry Jordan, for your leadership in that regard. I would ask at this time for all councilors and guests to please rise. I invite Councilor Murphy to the podium to introduce today's clergy. After the invocation is delivered, I would ask all members and guests to please remain standing as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilor Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. President. It gives me great pleasure, and it's a high honor to introduce to all of you someone who needs no introduction. There are priests, there are rabbis, there are ministers in this city that come through here all the time. And then there's this gentleman, Minister Don, who embodies the civic life, the religious life, the political life of this city. He's a leader of the highest order and a friend to all members of the City Council. And it gives me a great pleasure to welcome him back to lead us in prayer before this council meeting. My friend, our friend, Minister Don Mohammed.
You, Steve, to all of you. I love every one of you. Come here and seek to give better life to people. It gives me great pleasure to know that the 13 voters generally don't argue for a long period of time. Now, Boston is an important city. Did you know that the sun rises in Boston 11/10 of a second before New York? I would rather be in Boston as opposed to New York. That is why I'm saying that here. The Boston City Council once had an argument. I once had a discussion with a radio host who has passed. I won't mention his name. And he had asked me a question, and I began to answer it. The question was, is there anything about Boston that you don't like? No, I'll tell you his name. His name was Jerry Williams. I said, yes, there are two things about Boston I hate. And he said, well, what is that? I said, January and February. And he used this many times opening up. I am honored to stand before you, and I ask you to bow your head. Almighty God, the creator of the heavens and the earth, the Father and the life giver to all of your creatures, as we gather here in Boston, Massachusetts. Boston, Massachusetts, land of the pilgrims who fought violently in order to get freedom. This body of men and women, brothers and sisters, is the reason that Boston is known all over the world. I'm happy for myself personally. I'm happy for my wife, my family, and I'm happy to have been here for the years that I have been here. This Boston City Council, I would like to say to you, you have done a great job, because there are cities where people literally fight in these kinds of meetings that you have. But you fight for people, you fight for justice, you fight for what is right. And I'm happy to say to you and to hope that God will bless you all the way this year. And whatever time that we have, let us make Boston the best city that the world has ever seen. And then our goodness will be remembered by others. These things I am asking of you in the name of all of your messengers and prophets, from Abraham to Muhammad the last. I true now tell you that I love Islam. I love being a Muslim. I love being a fighter. But God religion encompasses all. Let us say now, Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Don Mohammed, for your inspiring and poignant words, and also for your open statements of gratitude for being here. And we have been so grateful to have you here in our city, and thank you for all of what you've done. Councilor Murphy will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Councilor Murphy will escort Minister Don outside the chamber. Thank you. Councilor Murphy. If there are no corrections to be made, the minutes of last week's meeting will stand approved. Seeing and hearing no objections, the minutes are so approved. Madam Clerk, communications from His Honor the Mayor, please.
Docket number 1396, message and ordinance amending CBC ordinances, Chapter 4, requiring city vendors to safeguard unprotected road users.
Docket 1396 will be assigned to the Committee on Government Operations.
Docket number 1397, message and order authorizing the Commissioner of the Parks and Recreation Department to accept and expend a grant of $450,000 from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs Urban Parks Grant Program for renovations to the Elliott Burial Ground and the Buena Vista and Puddingstone Garden and Buena Vista Warren Gardens Urban Wilds, located in the Roxbury neighborhood of Boston.
Docket 1397 will be assigned to the Committee on City, Neighborhood Services, and Veterans Affairs. Petitions, memorials, and remonstrances, Madam Clerk.
Docket number 1398, Boston Classic Tours, for a license to operate motor vehicles to the carriage of passengers for hire over certain streets in Boston.
Docket 1398 will be assigned to the Committee on City, Neighborhood Services, and Veterans Affairs. Madam Clerk, reports of public officers and others.
Should I do 1399?
Yeah, please, 1399 through 1411.
Docket number 1399. Notice was received from the city clerk in accordance with Chapter 6 of the ordinances of 1979 regarding action taken by the mayor on papers acted upon by the City Council at its meeting of July 30th, 2014. Docket number 1400, notice was received from the city clerk in accordance with Chapter 6 of the ordinances of 1979 regarding action taken by the mayor on papers acted upon by the City Council at its meeting of August 20th, 2014. Docket number 1401, notice was received from the mayor of the appointment of George Fifield as a member of the Boston Arts Commission. Docket number 1402, notice was received from the mayor of the appointment of John Hemingway as a member of the Boston Groundwater Trust. Docket number 1403, notice was received from the mayor of the appointment of Christopher Cook as Commissioner of Parks and Recreation Department. Docket number 1404, notice is received from the mayor of the appointment of John Barrows, the Chief of Economic Development, and Joseph Rull, the Chief of Operations, as members of the Dudley Square Realty Corporation. Docket number 1405, the notice was received from the mayor of the appointment of John Barrows, and Chief of Economic Development, and Joseph Rull, the Chief of Operations, as members of the Ferdinand Building Development Corporation. Docket number 1406, notice is received from the mayor of the absence from the city intermittently from August 18th, 2014 until August 22nd, 2014. Docket number 1407, notice is received from the mayor of his absence from the city intermittently from August 26, 2014 until August 29th, 2014. Docket number 1408, a communication was received from the mayor officially terminating the holdover tenure of Yanni Tispis, who serves on both the Boston Landmarks Commission and the Fort Point Channel Landmark District Commission. Docket number 1409, communication was received from the city clerk of the filing by the Boston Redevelopment Authority of the second report and decision for the Angela Westover Housing Corporation Chapter 121A project. Docket number 1410, communication was received from the mayor from the city clerk of the filing by the Boston Redevelopment Authority of the first report and decision amendment of 461 Walnut Ave, Chapter 121A project. And docket number 1411, communication was received from the city clerk of the filing of the Boston Redevelopment Authority of the agreement between the City of Boston and Trinity Northampton Phase 2 Limited Partnership pursuant to Chapter 121A, Section 6A of the Massachusetts General Laws.
Docket 1399 through 1411 will be placed on file. Madam Clerk, reports of committees, please.
Docket number 1157, the Committee on Government Operations, to which was referred on July 9th, docket number July 9th, 2014, docket number 1157, petition for a special law regarding an act relative to changing the name of the State Boston Retirement System to the Boston Retirement System, submits a report recommending the petition ought to pass.
Our chair recognizes the chair of the Committee on Government Operations, Councilor Flaherty, on docket 1157.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to ask for passage of docket 1157. This matter was sponsored by Mayor Walsh and referred to the Committee on Government Operations back on July the 9th. We held a hearing on September the 3rd and heard testimony from the Retirement Board, specifically its Executive Director, Tim Smith, and also from its General Counsel, Porrick Lydon, who are in attendance today. What this will do, it'll amend the sections of the general laws by changing the name of the State Boston Retirement System to the Boston Retirement System. And the reason we're asking for that to happen is partly it's administrative cleanup from the previous administration, but the Retirement Board is known by 4 different names. And to streamline the process to avoid and reduce confusion is also to eliminate potential litigation. They're asking that we adopt one name for the Boston Retirement Board, and that's the Boston Retirement System. So with that, asking that docket 1157 pass in the form which is asking for it to be relative to the changing of the name from State Boston to Boston Retirement System. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Flaherty. Councilor Flaherty moves acceptance of the committee report and passage of docket 1157. All in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 1157 has been passed.
Docket number 1238, the Committee on Economic Development and Planning and Labor, to which was referred on July 30th, 2014, docket number 1238. Message in order for a confirmation of the appointment of Dr. Theodore C. Landsmark as a member of the Boston Redevelopment Authority and Economic Development Industrial Corp., known as EDIC, Board of Directors, for a term expiring August 15th, 2019, submits a report recommending the order ought to be confirmed.
The chair recognizes the chair of the Committee on Economic Development and Planning and Labor, Councilor Lamartine, on docket 1238.
Thank you, Mr. President. We held a hearing on, the committee held a hearing on Wednesday, September 1st. I want to thank Councilor Linehan, President Linehan, and Councilor Zakin for participating. At the hearing, Brian Golden, Interim Director of the BRA, and John Barrows, Chief of the Economic Development, overviewed the administration's support for the appointment, and Dr. Landsmark detailed his qualifications and experience. Discussion was lengthy, and it was broad-ranging, and included Dr. Landsmark's vision for the BRA as an economic driver, conduit for ideas, and facilitator for thoughtful change. We also discussed the role that the Board of Directors will have in the accountability in the department and also rebuilding the credibility of the BRA. Many other topics were discussed, from neighborhood engagement and projects to the need to address disaster preparedness, such as storm surge and infrastructure planning, to affordable housing, to encourage long-term residents instead of court and transient residents, to the very important role of the BRA at this time is of tremendous development and investment in our city. Dr. Landsmark was very impressive in his credibility and credentials that he will bring to this position. I also want to take this opportunity to congratulate Dr. Landsmark on his recent appointment as President Emeritus of the Boston Architectural College, the first in the college history. Dr. Landmark was very, very impressive. I think he brings a lot of credibility to the BRA, and I will urge every one of us to support this great man, and looking forward to be working with him. He's looking forward to be working with all of us as city council members. So I urge you to vote favorably on his confirmation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Lamartine. Councilor Jackson, you have the floor.
Mr. President, I rise to chime in on this controversial matter. As I told Dr. Landsmark earlier, it is a very easy vote to have someone with his background, his knowledge of the city, his knowledge of design, and this thing that we need to do a little bit more of in the city of Boston, actually planning, which is something that the Walsh administration has been doing a good job setting the framework for. I think this is a no-brainer. I think we have a first-round draft pick in Dr. Ted Landsmark, and I think we will be served well as a city moving into this, Boston 2.0 in terms of the things that we need to do, dealing with the issues of housing, dealing with the issues of rising costs, and also how we keep the people who've been through the hardest times in the city of Boston in the city of Boston, and the planning that is going to require. Again, it is with great joy that I will be supporting Dr. Ted Landsmark today in his, and actually a great day in the city of Boston to have him on the BRA board. Thank you so much, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Jackson. Councilor O'Malley. Thank you, Councilor O'Malley. Councilor Yancey.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. In the interest of full disclosure, I've known Dr. Theodore Landsmark for, and I say it, close to 40 years. And of course, all of us here know that he came to the attention of the worldwide public in 1976. And I'm certain that horrible day, the last thing on his mind was to become a member of the Boston Redevelopment Authority. But I do know that even back then, his concern focused on economic justice and inclusion, because he was working with business people who traditionally have been locked out of our economy to try to encourage further growth of Boston's economy by fighting to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to participate in this nation's economy and specifically the city's economy. And I have no doubt that he'll be continuing that in his new role as a member of the Boston Redevelopment Authority. And again, I'm certain everyone is aware of what happened on City Hall Plaza in 1976, where he was physically attacked by the American flag. So this must be a great country to have an individual who was so assaulted now to gain this very important position of policy making with regards to economic development and planning. So I didn't think it would be appropriate for us to ignore that history, but I also think it speaks volumes to where Boston is today as well. And we should enjoy a certain level of pride that we evidence once again, manifest once again, how far the city of Boston has come since 1976. So I say welcome to Dr. Landsmark. He does have my vote to become a member, and I look forward to engaging with him as we redefine the role of the BRA, as we work to ensure that it does function as a planning agency, and his background in architecture certainly is going to help us in that regard, and that we move away from the target of opportunity approach to economic development that really has been the hallmark of the BRA. The idea that we should have development first, or almost development at all costs, without doing the thoughtful advanced planning that we should do. And the last official plan we have for the city of Boston is dated 1965. And I look forward to working with Dr. Landsmark to update that and to make sure that our policies are in line with the 21st century and that they're as inclusive as possible so we can, in fact, achieve the goals and objectives that he had on that sorrowful day in 1976. It's a new day, and I'm proud to vote for Ted Landsmark. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Yancey. Councilor LaMattina moves acceptance of the committee report and confirmation of docket 1238. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 1238. Madam Clerk, tell the vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. Councilor Baker. Yes. Councilor Baker, yes. Councilor Siomo. Councilor Siomo, yes. Councilor Flaherty. Yes. Councilor Flaherty, yes. Councilor Jackson. Yes. Councilor Jackson, yes. Councilor LaMattina. Yes. Councilor LaMattina, yes. Councilor Linehan.
Yes.
Councilor Linehan, yes. Councilor McCarthy. Yes. Councilor McCarthy, yes. Councilor Murphy. Yes. Councilor Murphy, yes. Councilor O'Malley. Yes. Councilor O'Malley, yes. Councilor Presley. Councilor Presley, yes. Councilor Wu. Councilor Wu, yes. Councilor Yancey. Councilor Yancey, yes. And Councilor Zachem. Councilor Zachem, yes. Mr. President, we have a unanimous vote on the confirmation of Dr. Theodore C. Landsmark.
You all jumped the gun a little bit. Thank you, Madam Clerk. The clerk has informed me that there is a unanimous vote in support of docket 1238, and 1238 has been confirmed. We can do that again. Congratulations.
Mr. President, you want me to read 226?
Madam Clerk, please read docket 1226 through 1231.
Docket number 1226, the Committee on Healthy Women, Families, and Communities, to which was referred on July 30th, 2014, docket number 1226, message and order authorizing the Commission on Affairs of the Elderly to apply for, accept, and expend a renewal grant of $16 million from the Massachusetts Executive Office of Elder Affairs for continued operations of the Region 6 Area Agency on Aging and Direct Service Grant, submits a report recommending the order ought to pass. Docket number 1227, the Committee on Healthy Women, Families, and Communities, to which was referred on July 30th, 2014, docket number 1227, message and order authorizing the Commission on Affairs of the Elderly to apply for, accept, and expend renewal grant of $4 million from the Massachusetts Executive Office of Elder Affairs for continued operations of State Elder Lunch Program, submits a report recommending the order ought to pass. Docket number 1228, the Committee on Healthy Women, Families, and Communities, to which was referred on July 30th, 2014, docket number 1228, message and order authorizing the Commission on Affairs of the Elderly to apply for, accept, and expend a renewal grant of $2.7 million from the Massachusetts Executive Office of Elder Affairs under the Council on Aging Formula Grant Program for the continued operation of the Commission's Health, Housing, and other units, submits a report recommending the order ought to pass. Docket number 1229, the Committee on Healthy Women, Families, and Communities, to which was referred on July 30th, 2014, docket number 1229, a message and order authorizing the Commission on Affairs of the Elderly to apply for, accept, and expend a renewal grant of $2.7 million from the Massachusetts Executive Office of Elder Affairs for the continued operation of the Nutrition Services Incentives Program, submits a report recommending the order ought to pass. Docket number 1230, the Committee on Healthy Women, Facilities, Families, and Communities, to which was referred on July 30th, 2014, docket number 1230, message and order authorizing the Commission on Affairs of the Elderly to apply for, accept, and expend a renewal grant of $1 million under the Domestic Volunteer Service Act of 1973 from the Federal Volunteer Agency for the continued operation of the Commission's Senior Companion Program in the city, submits a report recommending the order ought to pass. And docket number 1231, the Committee on Healthy Women, Families, and Communities, to which was referred on July 30th, 2014, docket number 1231, message and order authorizing the Commission on Affairs of the Elderly to apply for, accept, and expend a renewal grant of $650,000 from the Federal Volunteer Agency for continued operation of the Commission's Retired Senior Volunteers Program in the city, submits a report recommending the order ought to pass.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Chair recognizes the Chair of the Committee on Healthy Women, Families, and Communities, Councilor Presley, on dockets 1226 through 1231.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Madam Clerk. I imagine you are a bit parched after all that reading into the record, so I thank you for that. Last week, I held a hearing on several dockets related to grants from the State Executive Office of Elder Affairs and funds allocated under the Domestic Volunteer Service Act, which support the City's Commission on Affairs of the Elderly. These renewal grants fund critical programs to ensure that our seniors are active, remain healthy, connected to community, and are are thriving at any age. This is especially timely given the influx of baby boomers into our senior ranks, that we make sure as a city that we are ready for them. Councilor Murphy, are you doing shots on the floor? Are you throwing shots at the floor? Someone who's entering those ranks? Okay. Well, we want to make sure Billy's going to be okay. So, but these funds will help to ensure that Boston is prepared to support our seniors in all aspects of daily life as they have supported us thus far. I recommend passage of all dockets and want to especially commend Commissioner Shea and the Elderly Commission staff for the excellent work that they do each day to keep these programs going. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Presley. I'll read each one of these individually for a vote. And I'd like to remind the council that although this job has worn on me a little bit, I'm not 65 yet. Only Councilor Yancey is.
Oh!
But I can't wait to be there, honest to God. Council Presley moves acceptance of the committee report and passage of docket 1226. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed nay. The ayes have it. Docket 1226 has been passed. Councilor Presley moves acceptance of the committee report and passage of docket 1227. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. The ayes have it. Docket 1227 has been passed. Councilor Presley moves acceptance of the committee report and passage of docket 1228. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. The ayes have it. Docket 1228 has been passed. Councilor Presley moves acceptance of the committee report and passage of docket 1229. All in favor say aye. All opposed nay. The ayes have it. Docket 1229 has been passed. And Councilor Presley moves acceptance of the committee report and passage of docket 1230. All in favor say aye. All opposed, okay. All opposed nay. Docket 1230 has been passed. Councilor Presley moves acceptance of the committee report and passage of docket 1231. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. The ayes have it. Docket 1231 has been
Technology
passed.
is like sharp.
Thank you very much, councilors. Motions, orders, and resolutions.
Docket number 1412. Councilor Jackson offered the following order for hearing regarding language access for students and families in the Boston Public Schools.
The chair recognizes Councilor Jackson on docket 1421.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I rise to speak on an important issue about the changing demographics of our school system and the need to make sure that we have language access across the Boston public schools. We have seen an increase in the number of foreign-born residents in the city of Boston as a whole, and approximately 45% of children in Boston have at least one parent who is foreign-born. It's a good thing. It's a really great thing, and it actually speaks to one of the reasons why our city is actually growing. It's one of the reasons why the city of Boston is the great city that it is. The composition of these languages spoken in the BPS is 59% English, 21% Spanish, 4% Haitian Creole, 4% Chinese, 3% Vietnamese, 2% Cape Verdean, and 8% other. It's a beautiful, beautiful mix of folk from all around the world. We need to have a way that all of this linguistic diversity is connected, that their parents can actually speak to folks at the Boston Public Schools when there is an issue, that they can advocate in their own language, and also that translators are present for parent engagement and to deal with issues of student achievement. Even in that, we should have it set up so your report card goes home in your own language. I wish my report card actually went home in another language because it was not very good when I was a young person. But again, this issue of understanding, translators could help interpret school-related communications. And I look at this as akin to something as medical translators. There's specific vernacular that we use in the Boston Public Schools that we all are tossing around on a regular basis that may mean nothing to anyone else other than people who are involved in the Boston Public School system. I think it's absolutely critical around tutoring, clarifying instructional information for both students and parents, and just simply doing the right thing to create consistency in our interpretation. I want to acknowledge Councilor Wu, who has led the effort to make sure that in this building that we're doing exactly that same component. We need to make sure, in particular for our young people, in particular for their families, and their parents who want to engage, who want to be supportive, that we give them the opportunity to be supportive. So that's what this hearing will be about. I think it's an urgent issue with our changing demographic, but it's really a good thing that we have this many great diverse folks who want to participate and who are coming to our great city and making our city greater. And we have to make sure that we have ability to communicate with them. They have an ability to communicate with us, because none of us have a monopoly on the best ideas. We're missing out on some things, and so we definitely want to make sure that we move forward on that. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Jackson. Docket 1421 is assigned to the Committee on Education. Madam Clerk, personnel orders? Oh. Excuse me? Oh, I'm sorry. There was no button pressed. We'd like to add, Councilor O'Malley, you would like to have your name added? Councilor Presley, Councilor Wu, Councilor Yancey, Councilor Flaherty. Please add their names to that matter and assign it to the Committee on Education. Madam Clerk, personnel order.
Docket number 1413, Councilor Linehan for Councilor McCarthy.
Councilor McCarthy moves suspension of the rules and passage of docket 1413. All in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 1413 has been passed.
Docket number 1414, Councilor Linehan for Councilor
Councilor Murphy moves suspension of the rules and passage of docket 1414. All in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 1414 has passed.
Docket number 1415, Councilor
Councilor Siomo moves suspension of the rules and passage of docket 1415. All in favor say aye. All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Docket 1415 has passed. Thank you, Madam Clerk. On personnel orders, I've been informed by the clerk that there are no late file matters. At this time, would anyone like to pull something from the green sheets? A matter from the green sheet? We're moving right along. There are 4 late file matters which, in absence of objection, will be added to the consent agenda. Seeing, hearing no objection, the matters are so added. The chair moves adoption of the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The consent agenda is adopted. Councilor Presley. Well, the consent agenda has been adopted, and you have the floor. For what purpose do you rise?
All right. Thank you, Mr. President. I simply wanted to extend an invitation, and also to our vast viewing audience at home, especially with our refined technology. Wanted to invite all of you to an inaugural event that I'm having this Saturday called Jump into Peace in Roxbury, Washington Park, from noon to 3. The purpose of the event is really to bring awareness and to highlight the fact that although in the public discourse there's a lot of emphasis on the black boys that we are losing to violence, senseless violence, very often the girls and women that we're losing to that same violence are lost in that narrative. And so the purpose of Jump into Peace, the jump part, is we will be double dutching, if anyone here remembers that. And the reason why I wanted to have a double dutch event is because I thought back to a time in my own life where I felt free and empowered. And It was when I was a young girl and could jump double dutch in the street without the fear of any stray bullets or violence or anything. So we'll be honoring young women like Dawn from Brighton, Councilor Sioma's district, who we lost senselessly. We will honor the young women from Harlem Street that were slain 2 years ago. And so I do encourage all of you to come, and those who are watching, if you've lost a loved one to senseless violence, in particular, a girl or a woman, please come and jump for community and jump for peace and jump for healing, and we'll have a good time. I will not be jumping. So you guys know I have, I've got old knees, okay? But I will be turning, and I will be turning, and we're going to have a great time. So jump into peace this Saturday, September 13th, noon to 3, Washington Park, Roxbury. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Presley. Councilor Yancey?
Yes, unanimous consent to make a brief statement.
Yes. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I rise simply to say thank you to the City Council and many of our colleagues who helped make the 28th Annual Charles C. Yancey Book Fair a success on August 30th, 2014. Particularly want to thank my wife, Marzetta. I doubt that she's watching, but she's one of the founders of the book fair and one of its hardest workers, including lifting very heavy boxes. We have more than 40,000 new books available. And I believe roughly 1,500 participants, including Councilor Jackson, who said a few words, including the superintendent of schools, John McDonough. I know many children enjoy the books which were donated by Ayanna Presley and Sal Martinez's office, and contributions from Mark Siomo, and so many of you made that a very enjoyable, though hectic, event. It seems to have taken upon a life of its own. As I mentioned during the last meeting, we had a serious catastrophe, really, with regards to well over 30 or 40,000 new books that were destroyed in the depths of a cold winter on February 1st. The pipe burst. Actually, it was a sprinkler system that burst at our storage facility. And while we lost all those books, publishing houses and other good citizens came forward, and we did not miss a beat. We delayed the book fair a bit. And I know each of you have participated in the past and hopefully in the future. But I simply want to rise to say thank you, because without the support of the City Council, the book fair never would have happened and could not continue. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Yancey, and congratulations on that continued effort. Councilor Jackson,
Thank you very much. Unanimous consent to make a statement.
you have the floor.
I want to, I want to compliment my colleagues on their great events. I really enjoyed Councilor Yancey's book fair. I will not be jumping, although I am able to jump a little higher than I used to this weekend. But I want to thank you for doing that. I actually want to raise a serious matter. I want to thank Councilor Murphy for working with me on the Dearborn. I want to thank Councilor Presley for being present. I also want to thank Councilor Yancey for attending the hearing last week at the Grove Hall Community Center. We saw a new type of leadership in Mayor Walsh. We saw a new type of politic in Mayor Walsh, where let's not double down on a bad decision and say, I made that decision, so I'm gonna double down on it. What we saw also was a newfound respect for this council. Councilor Murphy and I worked on a hearing together, a hearing order together, to really question what happened. Councilor Siomo led a great process. Mr. President, you led a great process relative to the budget, and we voted 2 times on a matter of having a district school constructed in Roxbury. And 3 weeks later, there was a change of course. It is absolutely critical that the voice of this body, that the transparency that we need, in particular on the $2.7 billion budget, be respected. And I would say, for a second, I was a little nervous in terms of whether or not that was the case. But I would also say that I want to compliment our new mayor for not only making the decision, but also being mayor enough to actually come and deliver decision on his own. That shows a respect for the neighborhood that I represent, but I think it shows a respect to this body that is a breath of fresh air. And so I just wanted to note, I didn't write it up because we're not done, right? We have a long way to go, Mr. President, on this matter, because we do have an issue relative to whether or not there will be a state takeover of this school. So we have a lot of work to go. But on this issue of the actual structure of this school, I did want to bring this up to the council because I really am heartened by this newfound relationship and the new connection. And Councilor Murphy and he leaned over to me and said, "This is a big deal." And I think it is a big deal because our council and what we vote on has to be respected. And that respect was shown by Mayor Walsh. And I just wanted to note that formally on the record in high definition. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that update, Councilor Jackson. And yeah, that was an important day. I'd ask all guests and all members to please rise as the council prepares to adjourn today's meeting in the memory of the following individuals. For Councilor Murphy, Presley, and Yancey, Don Jaffiett. For Councilor Sioma and Councilor Murphy, William A. Malia. For Councilor Linehan and Councilor Murphy, Ted Otis. For Councilor Baker, Charles F. Cahill, and I'd like to give Councilor Baker an opportunity to say a few words for his uncle Donald V. Baker.
Basically took his life, but I just wanted to mention Don. He was in Vietnam, came back in a wheelchair, paralyzed from the neck down. He was a Seabee. The Seabees were construction battalions, so he built forward bases. They built bridges to support the troops, and then when an area would be taken over, they would build bases for the troops to live in and for support. The Seabees we build and we fight. He was a great man, and I just wanted to mention him today to honor him. This is my second uncle I've lost in 2 years. He was actually quite a miracle. When he first came back from Vietnam, the doctors told him he would probably live for 5 years, but because of his attitude, he was always laughing and joking and having a good time. We always liked to go over Don's house. He lived for 45 years, so I would be remiss if I didn't honor my uncle, and thank you for the opportunity today.
Thank you, Councilor Baker, for those words. Councilor Siomo. For Councilor Siomo, Eleanor Antonelli, Clay Stevenson, Maria Rossetti, and Sophie Budsos. For Councilor Lamartina, Ann Schettino, Thomas McCormick, Diane Cucciello, Vincent Toscano, Carmela Sposino. For Councilor Linehan, Margaret Cormier, Robert Dillon, Donna Eitri. For Councilor O'Malley, Kathleen McCarthy, Neil Murphy, and Dr. Angela Amy Moreno. And for Councilor Wu, Andrew Cray. And for Councilor Yancey, Muriel Duncan, Michael Brown, and Duela S. Persuade. A moment of silence, please. Thank you. The chair moves that when the council adjourns today, it does so in memory of the aforementioned individuals. It is scheduled to meet again on Wednesday, September 17, 2014, at 12 o'clock noon. All those in favor of adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it, and the council is adjourned. Yes. Yeah.